The internet is full of people telling you to be bolder, to work harder, to create something new, or to travel the world. And the truth is, behind each one of these successes is a mountain of setbacks, failures, and things just completely out of your control. Now, the quicker that you recover and learn from these setbacks, the quicker you'll achieve these goals. And the key is mental resilience. Welcome back to my channel. As always, I'm Tom, and I use this space as a place to explore the questions I'm asking myself or to face the challenges that I'm trying to overcome, in the hope that if someone out there is facing similar challenges, then my experience can help them find their own answer. The topic of today's video comes off the back of a rough few weeks at work where I was definitely trying to shift the blame and not really take accountability for my own actions. And what this lack of mental resilience meant was that my energy took a huge dip and I was acting out of line with my intentions a lot more than I wanted to. So I thought it could be useful for me to share my experience for how I'm building that resilience back up to go above and beyond where it was last time. Now, before we dive into this, I want to clarify exactly what I mean by mental resilience in this context. I'm not talking around capitalizing on momentum that you've already built or going the extra mile. I'm talking around keeping a level head, around not letting those small frustrations or annoyances snowball into forces that stop you dead in your tracks. This is not a conversation about discipline. It's a conversation about awareness and understanding. Discipline is focused around what you can control. It's how you take accountability and manage your time to push yourself towards those goals that really matter to you. But when we flip the coin and look at those things that you can't control, you can't apply discipline in the same way. For example, if you're in a marathon or a high rocks training plan, it's completely within your control to stick to that plan as best you can. Discipline gets you out of bed in the morning, lacing up your shoes to go to the gym. But if one morning you find that gym's closed and you can't do your workout, do you let that eat away at you until the next time you get in the gym? Or do you just accept the fact that it's out of your control and let it go, get on with your day? I definitely used to be the former. I had such a low tolerance for things that would deviate away from my routine. And what this led to was me shying away from things I thought would disrupt whatever routine was working for me at the time, which was definitely not healthy. The goal I'm working towards with my mental resilience is to understand what's in my control and what's out of it. And what this is going to mean is that I don't let the things that are outside of my control dictate my mood or my energy. But conversely, I also know what's in my control, and I don't lie to myself around what I can and can't change. The first reason why mental resilience is so important is because so much in this world is out of your control. And without the proper resilience, this lack of control could lead you to become very resistant to change. But change is inevitable. It will happen, whether it's optional, whether it's forced upon you, and it can either leave you bitter, wishing that things would go back to how they were before, or you could acknowledge the fact that it's completely out of your control, you can't go back, and things can improve in ways that you haven't even foreseen. The latter keeps you from getting stuck in the past and allows you to focus on all the doors that could open as a result of said change, as opposed to remembering all the doors that have now closed. Another part of this is reframing your perspective. One of those things that can derail us so easily are the responses of other people, especially if they're not what we're expecting. But by taking a step back and acknowledging that the response might have been influenced by something that happened to that person that day, you don't take it personally, and you can move past it a lot easier and move on. I'd be very surprised if your day-to-day didn't involve some sort of human interaction. For the most part, we can't avoid it. And the most successful and fulfilled people I've been around are those that don't take responses or attitudes at face value. They don't take it personally, control their response, and then move on without rumination. Becoming more mentally resilient allows us to reframe possible setbacks and adjust our course so that we can retain a positive view and not let these minor frustrations impact us reaching our goals, or even worse, to chip away at progress we've already made. The final and, in my eyes, the most important aspect of this is around embracing failure. Now, we're so lucky to have such a rich history of historical figures that have had such refreshing perspectives on failures, and they're associated with such victories and successes. My favorite is Winston Churchill, who says that success is not final, failure is not fatal, it is the courage to continue that counts. Moving on to the question of how you become more mentally resilient, as I shared earlier, one of those things that I find quite difficult is being honest with myself around what's in my control versus what's out of it. And I use this as a way to tell myself something is out of my control when I don't want to face it or own up to the consequences. What I'm doing to help with this is during my 10-minute meditation in the evening, I will go back throughout those actions or events that made me act out of line with my intentions that day. And then I'll calmly evaluate whether they're in my control or out of it. Now, obviously, I can't change my reaction in the moment, but what I hope to do from this is change how I react if I face something similar in the future. Normally with the videos I do, I like to pick out celebrities or public figures that are very vocal around the topics that I talk around. But with something like this, it's quite difficult to gauge without knowing them personally. In fact, a lot of the examples that I myself have learned off are people at work or in my personal life that have just impressed me with how they react to things. So My recommendation here is just to be more aware and look for your own examples that you can learn off. Another way in which other people can be really helpful here is by holding you to account. One of the main benefits I find to therapy is to have an unbiased, objective voice in the room that can call me out on my actions when my friends won't. And this calling out isn't meant to break me down. It's meant to bring things into my awareness that either I choose not to see or can't see myself. However, if you don't have a therapist or for some reason aren't interested in therapy, one thing I would recommend when you're looking for that unbiased source is to go maybe towards a mentor type figure, as family and friends will always be inherently biased and they won't tell you what you need to hear. Finally, and a nod back to my previous video on systems, my weekly review is a time where I can reflect on my intentions throughout the week prior and specifically where I deviated from them. And by doing this, I can work that into my actions for the following week and how I'd like to improve. Alex Hormozy says that confidence doesn't come from shouting affirmations in the mirror, it comes from having an undeniable stack of evidence that you are who you say you are. Now, mental resilience isn't the actual energy behind trying again, it's the force that allows you to put another brick on that stack. It's your reload speed. It reduces the potential strain that failure could have on your mind and allows you to try again. One thing to make clear is that mental resilience is an intangible. It's not something that you can measure or something that you will notice when you start to develop it, but other people will, and other people's comments and their reflections will tell you that you're on the right track. Next time, I'm going to be focusing below the belt and going into why squats can help you live so much longer. Catch you then.